Oh, I always so look forward to this day when I'm clearing the polytunnel and transitioning, from summer to winter. And there's a lot of tomatoes in here, quite a few squash. It's always tempting to hang on, and one more week, just one more week. But the thing is, weather is turning, the number of days when it's going to be good to sort of work outside, processing all these greens on the polytunnel and getting everything replanted. The number of days are reducing when it's just fun to do that. And seedlings are ready. Next week on Monday, seedlings will be ready for planting. So I just have to bite the bullet and take everything out. And a lot of these tomatoes will ripen over the next couple of weeks as well. So we won't be short of tomatoes. I'm really looking forward to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just going to take all the tomatoes off. I'm going to take them off like this on their stems, just because I think they kind of ripen just slightly better when they're on these. As I say, I think quite a lot of these are going to end up ripening. We do it with ripe apples rather than bananas because we've got a lot of ripe apples, so I don't have to spend any money on them. I'm not going to bother with really green tomatoes because they won't ripen, but and I don't mind those going in the compost either. Fortunately, there's no signs of blight in here, which is good, so I can compost all the greens. And then once I've kind of finished the harvesting bit, I'll just take out these peppers as well, and I will then just start cutting all of these stems, all these strings, and everything else will get composted. Oh, what a difference. So much light in here now. I'm a real light junkie because I suffer from seasonal affectiveness disorder, so it's just really lovely to sort of be back with so much light in here. So nice. I will probably have to put my sunshade up though because it's going to be blinding over the next few days with all this sun, but anyway, that is great. It's all a bit of a mess. So now it's time for a break. But it's fantastic. So the next stage in my process is I just go along and snip off all of the tomatoes and the squashes roughly at root level. So 6 inches above root level, and I'll come back and sort those out later. I just want to get the beds fairly clean, and what I'll do then, once everything's kind of in this path, is I'll extract the support strings, because obviously I don't want the support strings in the compost. And I find when I do, just by doing this, I'm less likely to trip over things. Right, that's half of it done. So now let's get all these strings out. And unfortunately, these strings, which are really good and they never break, but they're not thick enough and sort of strong enough to last another season. So I do end up having to get rid of them. And I haven't found a natural string, a hemp string or anything, that's strong enough. They all tend to break on me in about September time. So that is quite a green mountain that I've got to dispose of now. And fortunately, I have made space in the compost bins, given them a good turn, consolidated lots of them. And so basically I've got one whole compost bin turn into which I've got to incorporate all of this stuff. And I am pleased actually that I did it today, because I did find a bit of blight on one of the stems. And you know, once blight gets a hold, it starts to spread pretty quickly. So I'll cut that out, but pretty much the rest of it was clear. So I am going to compost all of this. I think this would be way too much to compost if you actually had a significant blight problem. But as I say, just one little bit, which I'll show you if I can find it, which hopefully I can. Oh, here it is. So, yeah, that is the offending piece. Well, I'm making good progress with this. I've run out of composting space in my main bin, so I'm going to have to get some wood chip. I'm just going to show you the composting setup though, because it's interesting to see how well it's doing. So this is the bin that I'm turning the compost into, turning the greens into, and I'm taking the compost out of this bin. And this bin was my wood chip bin in the spring, and you can see now it's pretty nice, rich compost with not much sign of wood chip left. And so my strategy for wood chip is to run it hot and incorporate a lot of greens and turn it a lot, which is probably not ideal for a wood chip bin, but it does accelerate it. And I just don't have time to let a wood chip bin compost cold and slow, you know, because that can take about 3 years and I've only got about 6 months. So what I'll be doing is I'll probably start the wood chip in this bin, and as I build that wood chip bin I'll incorporate greens and existing compost, and that'll provide all the fungi and bacteria that will really accelerate the wood chip, and I'll provide some greens to feed it. And then later on in the month, when I start clearing my pepper beds, I'll start turning that bin back into there and incorporate all the peppers into the wood chip bin. And then I'll turn it back there and backwards and forwards for all through winter basically until spring. And then I'll move it to where that bin is, because that bin will be where that bin is in spring when I empty that onto the allotment plot. So that's how it works. So that is some very nice wood chip. And as I said, I'm incorporating just a few forks full of compost from this bin into this one, just as an inoculant. So there we go. That's it for the day. Next video probably will be getting it all clean, tidy and ready for planting. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.